Jay looks at Taeha and asks him to stop. He admits that Hae-soo's ex-husband is a complete scumbag who deserves punishment. Even so, he cannot understand why Taeha keeps pushing things further. Jay remembers the day he learns that Taeha is secretly pulling strings behind the scenes. Our boy forces Hae-soo's ex-husband out of the company without anyone noticing. At that moment, Jay realizes Taeha has a much darker side than he first expected. Later, Taeha arranges a place for Hae-soo near the office hotel. The situation leaves Jay completely confused. No matter how much he thinks about it, none of Taeha's actions seem to make sense. Then comes the incident at the bar. Hae-soo gets dragged into a dangerous situation, and Jay completely loses his temper. He rushes to confront Taeha because he believes things have gone too far. Jay cannot understand why Taeha is taking such a huge risk. There are dangerous people inside, and the situation could easily spiral out of control. But Taeha ignores every warning and focuses on reaching Hae-soo. Looking back now, Jay admits that Taeha is always reckless. His actions are strange, dangerous, and impossible to predict. Surprisingly, Jay still finds himself hoping things work out between Taeha and Hae-soo. To him, their relationship feels beautiful in a strange way. It is reckless and painful, yet incredibly intense. Jay wonders how many times a person gets to experience feelings like that in an entire lifetime. Even so, Jay believes there is a better path. He says Taeha should simply forget about Hae-soo's ex-husband and move on. Instead of dragging that man to rock bottom, he should focus on being happy with Hae-soo. What confuses Jay the most is Taeha's determination to make those two men meet again. If it is revenge, then at least he can understand the reason. But he knows revenge rarely ends the way people expect. Maybe Taeha wants the ex-husband to see Hae-soo smiling beside someone better. Maybe he wants him to witness everything he lost. Or maybe he wants him to suffer the same pain Hae-soo once endured. But Jay says reality is different from movies. Revenge never solves everything. Sooner or later, the consequences always come back. He tells Taeha there is no reason to carry karma that does not belong to him. After all, the wound belongs to Hae-soo, not him. The moment those words are spoken, memories immediately flood Taeha's mind. He remembers Hae-soo trembling on the ground. Tears stream down her face as she cries in pain. Even now, those heartbreaking moments continue to echo inside his head. Taeha cannot accept the idea that her pain has nothing to do with him. He sees her suffering with his own eyes. After witnessing everything, her wound feels like his as well. Meanwhile, Jay continues talking. He says there are countless easier ways to destroy the man. If Taeha truly wants him gone, there are much simpler solutions. Jay calmly explains that he can make the man disappear forever. He can bury him somewhere nobody will ever find him. He can even send him far away and make sure he never returns. Taeha calls out his name, but Jay cuts him off. He already knows why none of those options will ever happen. It has nothing to do with ability or courage. The real reason is Hae-soo. Deep down, Taeha knows she would never want something like that. More importantly, he fears she may never forgive him if the truth ever comes out. Taeha hands Jay his lighter and prepares to leave. He tells him to go before he changes his mind and never contacts him again. The conversation seems finished, but Jay suddenly calls out one last time. Jay asks what will happen if Hae-soo wavers when she sees her ex-husband again. What if old emotions begin to resurface? What if the memories she tried so hard to bury suddenly come back? He says people often claim memories have no power, but Jay completely disagrees. In his eyes, memories are one of the most powerful things in the world. Jay says memories are far more dangerous than people realize. They are powerful enough to pull someone back into a toxic relationship, even when they know it will only end in pain. Surprisingly, people often return to the very person who hurt them the most. Time and time again, people destroy their own future because of one happy memory. They ignore dozens of painful memories and focus only on a single moment of kindness. Human beings are strange like that. Even after getting hurt again and again, they remember the one time someone cared for them. Even after endless suffering, they struggle to let go of the smallest act of kindness. Because of that, Jay believes Hae-soo will not be able to throw away her memory so easily. Jay calls out to Taeha once more. He asks what he plans to do if Hae-soo gets pulled back by her past. The question hangs in the air as Taeha remains silent for a moment. Then our boy calmly gives his answer. He says that if there is even the slightest chance of that happening, he will make himself impossible to leave. He will make sure that abandoning him hurts far more than leaving the other man ever could. His response leaves Jay completely stunned. He lets out a tired sigh because the answer sounds ridiculous to him. This guy gets upset over something as small as a thorn prick, yet he is trying to claim another person's entire heart. Jay cannot help cursing him under his breath, but Tae simply smiles back. He tells him not to worry because Hae-soo likes him. Those simple words immediately leave Jay speechless. At that moment he realizes just how unpredictable human emotions can be. A person's heart can change far more easily than anyone expects. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Hae-soo. She arrives at the restaurant where she is about to start working. As soon as she enters, the manager welcomes her and begins introducing her to the workplace. The manager shows her around the cafe and introduces the employees who will share the same shift. He points out the bakery section, the counter, and the work areas where orders are prepared. Hae-soo carefully listens and tries to remember everything. She is surprised by how many employees work there. The manager explains that she can either prepare drinks or take customer orders at the counter. He also tells her that she can ask Hee-won for help whenever she needs it. Soon, Hae-soo meets Hee-won. The young woman greets her warmly and welcomes her to the team. Hae-soo politely returns the greeting, and the friendly atmosphere helps her relax a little. Not long after, Hee-won leads Hae-soo toward the employee changing room. She explains that all staff members wear cafe uniforms during work. Then she begins showing her where everything is located. Hee-won points out where the aprons are stored. She also shows her where the supplies are kept, and where employees leave their personal belongings. Step by step, Hae-soo starts becoming familiar with her new workplace. Hee-won hands Hae-soo a hat and tells her to change quickly. She explains that they need to start learning the recipes right away. As Hae-soo looks at the uniform, she finds herself unexpectedly touched. The uniform looks neat and surprisingly pretty. For a moment, she thinks about taking a picture and sending it to Taeha. The thought alone brings a small smile to her face. Before she can think about it any longer, Hee-won starts another conversation. She admits that calling her Miss Hae-soo feels awkward. Then she curiously asks how old she is, and reveals that she is 26. The question immediately reminds Hae-soo of the age gap between them. She briefly worries that it might make the others uncomfortable. Still, she decides to answer honestly. Hae-soo gently reveals that she is 34 years old. Then she jokingly says that Hee-won can call her auntie if she wants. She says it with a smile, expecting the younger woman to laugh. Instead, Hee-won immediately protests. She cannot believe anyone would call a 34-year-old woman an auntie these days. To her, age is not something that should create distance between people. This girl believes everyone is the same in the end. People are born the same way, and slowly walk toward the same destination in life. Because of that, she decides she will simply call Hae-soo Unnie. Her straightforward response makes Hae-soo chuckle. There is something refreshingly honest about Hee-won's personality. The more they talk, the more comfortable Hae-soo begins to feel. Soon Hae-soo realizes how much she enjoys the atmosphere. It has been a long time since she enters a completely new environment without carrying the burden of her past. For the first time in a while, she starts feeling normal again. As the training continues, Hae-soo begins learning the recipes. She carefully follows the instructions while preparing one of the bakery creams. Step by step, she quickly memorizes the process. After watching for a while, Hee-won becomes visibly surprised. She points out that the recipe Hae-soo is making is one of the hardest items in the entire. Most new employees struggle with it for several days, but Hae-soo learns it almost immediately. Hee-won cannot hide her amazement. To her it feels like she is watching something unusual. Hae-soo modestly insists that she is simply trying her best. She does not consider herself especially smart. However, Hee-won refuses to believe that explanation. According to Hee-won, nobody memorizes a difficult recipe that it takes most people days to learn the same process. The more she watches Hae-soo work, the more impressed she becomes. Soon, Hee-won jokes about the situation. She says it feels strange seeing the boss hire such a reliable part-timer. Usually things are very different around there. According to her, many previous employees are hired mostly because of their appearance. As a result, training them is often but Hae-soo understands everything almost instantly. While talking, Hee-won suddenly remembers something she has been curious about from the start. She hesitates for a moment before deciding to ask. Then she slowly leans closer with a teasing smile. There is one thing she genuinely wants to know. Unable to hold back her curiosity any longer,